Hello everybody, you're welcome back again to the Reggae Appreciation Society. In 1959, 4 gifted boys were learning the ropes en route to becoming among the finest musicians in Jamaica. The eldest, an 8-year-old prodigy with a flair for classical music, was learning to play the cello. In another part of Kingston, a second lad was already playing the acoustic guitar in his school band. Over in the Manchester parish, a third boy was already a vocalist in his father's church. And over in Clarendon, the fourth was already a solid keyboardist in his own right. These kids named Stephen Core, Richard Daly, William Clark, and Michael Cooper were barely out of their teens. They were already veterans in music, and they formed one of the most artistically flawless and technically excellent musical groups to ever emerge from Jamaica. Thousands of wonderful bands have come out of that beautiful island, but let's not get it twisted. It's virtually impossible to find more than 1 or 2 bands that can match the incredible talent, professionalism, and brilliance of the magnificent Third World. Formed 50 years ago, they are one of the longest running reggae outfits of all time. They've been celebrated for their distinctive sound that over the years has fused a rock-solid roots reggae foundation with irresistible infusions of soul and Afro-funk. They've been referred to as reggae's own version of Earth, Wind and Fire, due to their ability to blend the finest reggae music with excellent Black American sound. I personally believe that Third World are in a class of their own. The band introduced the synthesizers to reggae music and pioneered reggae fusion with unrivaled expertise and class. But despite all their greatness, there will be plenty of critics who have questioned the band's credibility, stating that their music is commercially driven uptown reggae and too far from the ghettos to be true roots reggae. An assertion that the band has continually rebuffed with no-hold-barred statements and a sensationally solid catalogue of heavy sound over the years. Let's take a look at the excellent story of Third World. This story begins with founding members Stephen Core and Michael Cooper. Stephen Core was born in Kingston in 1950. His father, David Core, was the Minister of Finance and later Deputy Prime Minister of Jamaica. His mother was an accomplished musician and music teacher who played the piano and had studied in England at the Royal School of Music. He would inherit his mother's flair and started playing the cello as a young boy, became a classical music prodigy and learned to play a range of stringed instruments and enrolled at the Foster Davis School of Music in Kingston. He continued on his path as a classical musician until he fell in love with rock after listening to the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. And by the time he was 12, he and some friends started a band in their neighborhood called the Alley Cats. They quickly made a name for themselves, playing at birthday parties and other small gigs. It was from the name of his band that he earned the nickname Cat. Michael Cooper was born in 1952 in Clarendon to a police officer father, and just like Cat Core, he was also exposed to music at a very young age, as his aunt ran a musical class, and he took to the keyboards like a natural. He also received classical music training and studied at the Royal Music School in Kingston. By the age of 16, he had formed his first reggae band called The Rhythms before joining Inner Circle, which was at the time still an upcoming band in Kingston. Cat Core got drawn to Inner Circle after noticing the band playing on the nightclub circuit. They were already a professional and serious group, and he would often seize the opportunity to jam with the band at a nightclub that they played at every week, until eventually Inner Circle's guitarist left for the US, so they invited Cat to replace him, and he quickly jumped on the opportunity. Inner Circle was becoming one of the hottest reggae bands in Jamaica. Their professionalism and excellence rubbed off heavily on Cat for the next 4 years. And one of the high points of his time with Inner Circle was when they served as the backing band to Eric Donaldson when he won the 1971 Reggae Song Festival with Cherry O Baby. But over time, Cat Core began to get restless with the way the band was going. Inner Circle were essentially focused on singing covers of top 40 charting songs, but Cat wanted to start doing original material and made a decision to leave the band. When he made his feelings known, 3 members in Milton Hamilton, Michael Ibo Cooper, and Bonnie Ruggs were also in the spirit, so the 4 of them left to do their own thing, and after adding bassist Richard Daly, percussionist Eric Jarrett, and drummer Cornell Marshall, they formed their new band Third World in 1973. They kicked off this new enterprise with an appearance at that year's Jamaican Independence concert. After hustling on the Kingston scene for a while, they moved their operations to England, and without a record label behind them, they released their first single, Railroad Track. Their presence was quickly noticed by Chris Blackwell, and he swiftly signed them to Island Records in 1974, and they would release their sublime self-titled debut album in 1976. The album introduced the world to their brilliant, throbbing, soulful, and cinematic quality that would become the band's legendary trademark, with classic songs like Sun Won't Shine, Brand New Beggar, and the cover of the Abyssinian smash hits Sata Masagana. The album received strong critical acclaim and earned the band a spot as opening act for Bob Marley and the Wailers, who were on tour of the UK promoting the Rastaman Vibration album. They followed up with their brilliant second album, 96 Degrees in the Shade, in 1977. This new album featured a new drummer in Willie Stewart. The album is my personal favorite and was loaded with 8 flawless tracks, especially the title track, 96 Degrees in the Shade, that told the story of the Morant Bay Rebellion of 1865. Even though, strangely enough, it was first inspired by a particularly hot day in the studio when the air conditioners failed to work. With other tracks like the wonderful Tribal War and Jah Glory, they not only demonstrated their immense roots reggae capabilities with heavy unstoppable lyrics and instrumentals, but also showed their ability to seamlessly infuse funk and soul influences. The album quickly showed that they were among one of the tightest groups on the planet and firmly put them on the global map as critical and commercial heavy hitters. Their next album, Journey to Addis, that came out in 1978, was a smash commercial success, and the lead single, Now That We Found Love, reached number 9 on the American R&B charts. This song was a cover of the classic soul track sung by the OJs and was perfectly delivered in a flawless fusion of reggae and funk. The album also had the sensational Cool Meditation and lovely songs like One Cold Vibe and Cold Sweat. By all standards, an absolute classic reggae album and also a monster crossover hit that won over millions of new listeners who weren't reggae fans. After 3 more albums with Island Records, they moved to CBS Records in 1981 and released the album Rock the World, which was also a strong success that yielded a UK top 10 single, Dancing on the Floor. It was sadly the year that Bob Marley died, and at that year's Reggae Sunsplash, they performed with Stevie Wonder when he performed his tribute to Bob Marley with the classic song Master Blaster Jammin'. Stevie Wonder's chemistry with the band was so good that he invited them over to come and record with him in his studio in Los Angeles. He would end up writing and producing 2 songs for them, In You're Playing Us Too Close and the smash hit Try Your Love, that formed part of their 1982 album You've Got the Power. They released 4 more tight albums in the 1980s, though they failed to match the massive success of previous works. But their 1989 album, Serious Business, became a big hit in the USA that flew into the chart in that country, mostly on the strength of the single Forbidden Love, which was one of the first successful fusions of reggae and hip-hop. The track featured Daddy O, the lead rapper of Stetsasonic. This album, like others in the latter half of the 1980s, helped introduce a lot of African Americans to reggae music and got the group their 3rd Grammy nomination. The group released albums consistently into the 1990s and beyond. Michael Ibo Cooper left the group in 1997 and took up a new profession as a music teacher at the Edna Manley College of Visual and Performing Arts in Kingston. And in that same year, drummer Willie Stewart also left the group. But the band forged ahead right into the 2000s, doing countless concerts around the world. But during the build-up to their 40th anniversary in 2013, Bonnie Rugg stepped aside due to ill health and was replaced by singer A.J. Brown. Sadly, Bonnie Rugg passed away on 2nd of February 2014, but still ably led by Cat Core, the band is still actively touring and making music. Third World is without a doubt among the most innovative and brilliant reggae bands ever, with excellent musicianship and a dedication to their craft that is almost unrivaled in the music business. They've earned 9 Grammy nominations, but bagged no awards. But the truth is that if the Reggae Grammy category had been introduced in their heyday and peak in the 70s and 1980s, there's no doubt that they would have totally made it their own. Like mentioned earlier in this video, they've been criticized for their reggae fusion sound. Cat Core is always quick to brush aside such criticisms, stating that Third World's music has always been heavily appreciated in Jamaica. He's maintained that the critics only exist in the Western media, who for some strange reason have appointed themselves gatekeepers of reggae. But all in all, Third World had and still boasts of some of the best musicians that reggae has ever seen. They are a group that have excelled in roots reggae to the point that they felt confident enough to freely infuse other influences. Undoubtedly, one of the greatest musical outfits that we will ever see across all genres. So there you have it. Thank you for watching the video today. Please leave a like, subscribe, and until next time, Jah bless.